Welcome back to the show. This is KDS Reviews. This is a response to an earlier episode that I did where I talked about movies that didn't need a sequel. So I had a subscriber out here in the real world ask me, well, were there some movies that didn't get a sequel that you felt like they did? Let's talk about some of the ones. Start off first, District 9. And this is an underrated science fiction film. It stars Sharlto Copley as this kind of inspector because this alien ship has not really landed, but it just stopped and it's hovering over this town in South Africa. And then they find out that the aliens there are malnourished and about to die. So they actually just corral them all up and put them in this ghetto in South Africa. And they feel like they're feeding off their resources and using them and everything. Now, this movie is basically a story about apartheid in the 1980s. Matter of fact, like I said, it was filmed in South Africa. These aliens here, they're not some taking over the planet and enslaving the humans. They're just like we are. They easily can be killed and everything. And this story just shows you just how bad things really got and everything. And if you've seen the ending, it kind of begs for a sequel. I didn't understand why they didn't, because the movie is left with a cliffhanger. Up next is Van Helsing, starring Hugh Jackman. Now, this movie, he's playing this monster hunter, going after other creatures like Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, and Mr. Hyde. Now, he's battling Dracula all throughout this movie and all the other, creatures that are working with Dracula. I feel like this movie right here really could have used a sequel because he could have gone off and fought the Wolfman and the Mummy, and there was a lot to me left on the table they could have done with this movie. So I really thought they were going to make a sequel, but I guess Hugh Jackman went off to continue to play Wolverine. Up next, here's one right here, early 80s. And that's The Rocketeer, starring Billy Campbell. This test pilot that finds this jacket, he doesn't realize it's a test jacket that Howard Hughes had created. Now, he goes off and he battles with the Nazis over this jacket right here. That was a great story. It was like a Saturday afternoon serial movie, but it was still a good show. A good movie here. Now, to me, this could have kept on going. This could have been 2 or 3 other movies that could have followed this. To continue battle with the Nazis over this jacket and technology. And maybe throw in a Raiders of the Lost Ark type story going on, about hidden treasures and such like this. This, to me, I really thought that they were going to make a sequel to this movie. It was still a good movie, and I did a recent rewatch of it lately. And it still held up on its own. And that's The Rocketeer. Up next, if anything needs a sequel, this is Russell Crowe's epic Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. This is another fantastic movie to me. And to me, it's better than The Gladiator. That's right, I said it. Better than Gladiator. These ship-to-ship battles, these chases after each other. This was another one. If you've seen the sequel, the ending of the movie, it really needs a sequel. It really left you with a desire for a sequel. This movie made a lot of money. So I was surprised that they didn't do a second part of this movie. That's Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. It's an epic Russell Crowe movie. And last but not least is The Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. This is another one. I still don't understand the hate for this movie at all. This is a really good movie of how Hal Jordan becomes the Green Lantern. He's being trained by Sinestro, and it's kind of like Training Day almost. They left a lot of things on the table, on this movie right here. It's kind of just an origin story, but there's a lot of other characters that the Green Lantern has dealt with in the comic book. And I felt like they could have made a second part of this movie and just kept on going. And here's another one. If you've seen the ending, it needs a sequel. That's The Green Lantern. This is KDS Reviews. KDS Reviews is seen every Wednesday and every Sunday. And throughout the week, we talk about the state of Hollywood as far as movie making is. If you like this type of content, then like, subscribe, and share. Are there any movies that you've seen that they never made a sequel of, and that you feel like, wow, why didn't it continue this story? Why don't you comment down below? And if you want to see that video where I talk about movies that didn't need a sequel, then watch this video right here. This is KDS Reviews, and I'll see you in the next video.